And now humanitarian aid groups around the world are watching for Israel's next move. Senior Vice President of International Programs at the International Rescue Committee, Ciarán Donnelly, joins me now for more on that part. Ciarán, thanks for coming on. I know we've spoken multiple times over the last few months about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. So what's your reaction to finally being on the cusp of a ceasefire deal?
I think we are hugely optimistic that this deal can come through. Obviously, we're seeing some last-minute issues that need to be ironed out, but we've been advocating for a ceasefire since the breakdown of the previous one over a year ago. It's a horrendous humanitarian situation inside Gaza, as you know, with 1.9 million people displaced, many of those facing real shortages of food, hundreds of thousands of people on the brink of famine. So with the ceasefire agreement, we're on the brink of being able to finally scale up aid to the level that it's needed. And as you know, trucks and aid agencies are waiting and ready to go in with aid workers. But I do have to say, a ceasefire alone won't be sufficient to get aid to people in Gaza at the level and the speed that's needed. We also need authorities on the ground, in particular the Israeli authorities, to remove the other barriers, administrative and bureaucratic obstacles to getting aid in and to moving it around. And we need donors to come in with funding rapidly to be able to fund the scale up that's needed.
Now, since the announcement of the agreement, a spokesperson for the Gaza Civil Defense says at least 72 Palestinians have been killed in an IDF strike. What do you make of that? And what do you think happens with the fighting until the agreement actually takes effect?
Look, it shows exactly what the people of Gaza have been suffering over these past 15 months, with 46,000 people having been killed. It's beyond tragic that with a ceasefire deal on the table, pending final stages of ratification, an additional 70 or more people have been killed. It shows what's at stake, and it shows the necessity of getting the deal finalized and getting it implemented on the ground immediately, to give some respite to people who've been suffering through this war. And then, as I said, to allow the space and the conditions for aid agencies to be able to scale up their operations.
And you say that need for aid in Gaza is massive, with roughly 90% of the population displaced. So how do you think this agreement will help get more aid to those in need? And what happens now to all of those displaced people?
Well, we haven't seen the full text of the agreement, but I understand that it allows for hundreds of trucks to be able to enter Gaza. Remember, the pre-war level was 500 trucks a day entering Gaza to be able to provide both commercial and aid supplies. And we've been nowhere near that level. We've been at a significantly lower level throughout the duration of this conflict. So getting hundreds of trucks in per day will allow people to be able to access food, to be able to access fuel, shelter materials. Obviously, we're in the middle of winter, medical supplies, and so on. For the people who've been displaced, many of them don't have places to go back to. 90%, 91% of the housing supply in Gaza has been either destroyed or damaged as a result of the conflict. Hopefully, the ceasefire deal will lay the conditions both for a transition to a more sustainable peace arrangement, and then for the conditions for reconstruction and recovery. But right now, our focus has to be on getting the ceasefire deal implemented, making sure it sticks, and making sure that those other conditions that are necessary for the delivery of aid are put in place as well.
All right, Senior Vice President of International Programs at the International Rescue Committee, Ciarán Donnelly, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.